about, like, especially Hollywood, there is such a casualness with it nowadays that if you're a young kid and you're learning by watching TV, you're going to see all of the sultriness of sex and all these things that you're going to potentially emulate. And the reality is Hollywood, I can't tell you the last time I've watched a Hollywood show where the guy or gal comes home and says, hey, I have an STD. You don't see that part of it, right? It doesn't happen. You just see all the hot shout, and no one talks about the aftermath ever, and I think that's why we have to, and just be aware of it. The CDC has sounded the alarm, stating that STDs like chlamydia, syphilis, and gonorrhea are at all-time record highs.
Have you noticed your television set is oozing lust from almost every channel?
If the child is watching, he's going to see 400,000 sex acts by the time he's 18 years old.
What was the last movie you saw that really encouraged you to abstain from sex prior to marriage? Oh, wow. What was the last movie that you saw that really encouraged you to abstain from sex prior to marriage?
Abstain from sex?
Yeah.
Sure, it wasn't. I've never seen one.
Never seen one.
No.
God expressly forbids sex before marriage, likening it to idolatry and stating in the strongest language possible that no fornicator has any inheritance in the kingdom of God. The edited version in Hollywood reads, "Thou shalt lose thy virginity at the earliest opportunity, preferably on prime time."
Okay, a man is a lot of things, but he's not a virgin.
Are you a virgin?
Sure.
You've shown us the 7 places you lost your virginity?
It's easy for you to say. You already lost your virginity. 37 girls from my senior class lost their virginity this summer. Now, that puts virgins in the minority.
And of course, all this sexual activity now comes at a cost that goes well beyond the terrible spiritual and emotional damage immorality wreaks upon an individual. Today, 1 out of every 7 teenagers this next year will acquire a sexually transmitted disease. A generation ago, there were 5 such diseases. Today, there are over 50. Several are incurable, and at least 2 are fatal. Moving on now to the blessed state of matrimony, to the context in which, according to God, sex is to occur and be enjoyed.
Take, for example, the AIDS epidemic. There's a simple biblical solution to this disease that apparently the media, the artists, and the activists want to ignore. It goes like this. Abstain from sex before marriage. Don't shoot drugs. Marry someone with the same values, and then remain faithful to one another for life. You won't get AIDS. Too simple? Well, then let's complicate it a bit.
You know, it really doesn't matter whether you're gay, straight, bi, whatever.
Let's make light of abstinence and instead plug safer sex and hope that nothing goes wrong.
As a gynecologist, I see those STDs that, women get. And when you think about HPV virus, which is the most common, and that can cause genital warts, and those are like, you can have something very small, it looks like a skin tag, or you can have a whole cauliflower garden. And there's nothing worse than breaking up, but also breaking up with and leaving you a gift. And that's not that you then have to explain to another partner. And then herpes. Herpes is very, very transmittable because again, it's another virus you don't see. You may not have any symptoms of it. And that's, again, something you live with and something
that's
you have
the
to
gift
tell
that keeps on giving in a bad way.
Yeah.
And a gift that is invisible often to the naked eye.
Probably not at high risk. These aren't high-risk people. So I probably am going to be fine if I just do this 1 or 2 times. And then all of a sudden they're coming to me saying, guess what I just got diagnosed with? I'm devastated. I have something that can't be cured.
Are we at a point where we insist that if you're going to start a relationship and be sexually intimate, and particularly in a scenario where you're going to have a monogamous, not use protection relationship, where we have to say, look, I want to see your lab results?
Yes, absolutely.
I want to put your name on it?
Sin, a violation of the way things were meant to be. And it's condemned in the Bible in many places and in the strongest kind of language. Now the works of the flesh are evident: adultery, fornication, which is sex outside of marriage, impurity, lust. I tell you that those who practice such things will not inherit the kingdom of God. When Jesus taught on the spirit behind the law, He declared that even lusting in one's heart is like adultery in the eyes of God. But I say to you that if you even look at a woman with lust in your eye, you have already committed adultery with her in your heart. This you Jesus speaking of here is, well, you, single or married. Lust and all sexual activity outside of marriage is an act of infidelity to both God, your spouse, and if you're single, your future spouse.